StockPulse on location, back at the StockPulse Silver Symposium, year 2. We've got Joseph Brown here from Heresy Financial, and he just delivered a fiery chat. So, Joseph, I appreciate you making the trip here from Phoenix area, and I want to hear about this chat here. For those who didn't hear it, it was pretty vibrant.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of history that we can look back on in terms of our monetary systems that have existed, and that gives us an idea of where we're going. Because I use the example, Alice in Wonderland. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So if we want to know what monetary system is coming next, what's the next global reserve currency, we've got to know what is bringing us along this path, what that momentum is from before. And the reality is, we've had thousands of years of gold as money. In a gold as money system, this isn't like, we don't have to think about a gold exchange standard, about paper dollars. This is coins. For thousands of years, the coin was the money. And so I would go and give you a coin, you would give me a coin when we want to buy stuff from each other. In this system, the money supply can't change. It can change a little bit by going and digging the gold out of the ground, but if it costs you more to dig it out of the ground than you could buy it for on the open market, you're not going to dig it out of the ground. So the money supply stays relatively fixed. But we also know that wealth does not stay the same, because when we figure out a new way to do something, let's say we invent a tractor instead of having to use animals to farm our lands, we get more food for the labor that we put into it. And so we offload, all throughout history, this is what we do, we offload human labor to machines, to animals, to other things, and that allows us to create more wealth, more abundance. Now what happens then if you have a fixed supply of money, but the amount of wealth grows, that means the wealth actually gets cheaper, because it used to cost me, let's say, 1 gold coin to buy a sandwich. But now it's so much easier to make sandwiches that there's tons of sandwiches everywhere. So now it takes 1 gold coin to buy 100 sandwiches, because they're so abundant, there's so much more wealth that money got a lot more valuable relative to all the stuff. And that's what's happened throughout all of human history. More stuff, more wealth, more abundance, same amount of money. So we have deflation. Stuff gets cheaper over time, which means people get wealthier. There was a phase change, though, when the invention of banking happened, because this works for a long time, but eventually you go take that 1 ounce gold coin. You're not going to go to the grocery store today with a 1 ounce gold coin. $1,800, you're not going to be able to buy, a couple days worth of groceries with that. That'll buy you a couple weeks worth of groceries. And so what happens is people then say, I need somebody to hold this safe for me. That introduces an incentive for fraud, because you go to that bank and they say you can come back anytime and get your gold, just give me back this piece of paper that I gave you. They can give more of those pieces of paper out than they actually have gold in the vault. And so as soon as banks started doing this, you have inflation start to happen. For the first time in history, you have isolated economies where prices then start going up. People start to feel rich. People think, oh, prices are going up, I'm going to go get more debt to invest in this to grow my wealth, because prices are going up, I'm getting richer. You have a false wealth effect as prices now are going up, but it's built on debt. So what we know about debt, it has to either get repaid or it's defaulted on. And so at some point that money supply stops growing, which means that new money stops working its way throughout the economy, which means prices stop going up. And if prices aren't going up anymore, you're not going to keep on buying that stuff. You only buy a stock because you think it's going to go up. If you know that stock's not going to go up, you're going to sell the stock. So then prices start to collapse, debt starts to get repaid, people start to hold back and stop spending. That means more people have less income. There's a gold run, a bank run, everybody turns in those receipts, there's not enough gold. So you have a boom, a bust, a bank run built on money supply expanding and contracting because of fraud. That was centralized. We have an invention of the central bank with the Bank of England. And same thing, it's just on a national level now. So you still have all the same things happening. More money is printed, lent into existence, then there's gold to back it up. But now it's the entire nation doing it instead of just a local economy. That fails over and over and over again. You have 2 world wars, 2 Great Depressions, and then the world gets together and says, we weren't doing the wrong thing, we just weren't doing it big enough. So they globalized it at Bretton Woods. The Fed became the central bank to all the other central banks with the dollar exchange standard. And the same exact thing happens. America prints a lot more dollars, loans a lot more money into existence, then there's gold to back it up, lasts for 30 good years, and then everybody turns in their dollars, another bank run, and there's not enough gold to back it up, and the system collapses. Now we've been in fiat for 50 years here. more events, more episodes of hyperinflation than we had in all of world history up until that point. We have unlimited government spending, unending wars, an increase in poverty, an increase in violence, a decrease in the family units at home. Just every single bad thing you can somehow trace back to the ending of the gold standard. And so we're at this point now where it seems like the rest of the world is getting fed up with this. People don't want to lose their purchasing power holding dollars. The rest of the world is getting fed up with the US abusing its power of that dominance of that dollar being the global reserve currency. And so we have 4 different ways we can go. We can either go with CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. We can go with go back to commodity money if there's a big breakdown in global technology. People go back to barter and gold coins. We can go to a commodity-backed money, which China, Russia, India, South Africa, Egypt, Turkey, they're all talking about a new global reserve currency meant for international trade backed by commodities like oil and gold. And then we could also go to something like a private ledger cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. So those are the only 4 options, and we can see the writing on the wall. Some countries say, we didn't do it wrong, we just didn't do it big enough, so the next step will be a CBDC. We can see other countries that are getting fed up with it, and they'll try and decentralize the money with a commodity-backed money, and then other countries might do something different. But we have a competing monetary system ahead of us, and the question will be which one is going to win.
Yeah, I know I heard you talking about how fiat currencies are always built to really collapse, and we're in the final stages here. I've heard the chats for a decade, or at least a decade or more, 96 to 98% of the dollar basically eroding. So I guess take us to the end game here. How does this? How do you beat it? Obviously, we're in precious metals here. We're at a conference here talking about silver. Yeah. So let's lay the solution out here for investors.
What's happening right now is the seeds are being sown for a very large collapse in front of us here. We've got the Fed tightening, central banks around the world tightening into something that would have already collapsed anyway. I explained earlier how prices, when they stop going up, they collapse. The bust is made inevitable because of the boom, because it was built on expansion of the money supply, built on credit, built on debt. So without doing anything, just stepping back and stopping control, things collapse. They're not doing that. They're actively tightening. So they're trying to push things down now. So it's a
house of cards, but they're blowing on it.
Exactly. House of cards that they're blowing on, 100%. And so they're tightening into that. They're saying, we're not going to stop this. We're not going to pull back. We're going to keep on tightening. We're going to raise rates. We're going to sell assets off our balance sheet. There's going to be unemployment. There's going to be job loss. There's going to be pay cuts. There's going to be bankruptcy. We're going to collapse this thing. They've been very clear about that.
Powell already pretty much said it.
Exactly.
There's going to be pain.
100%. And at the time of the most pain, governments like to step in with their solution. They caused the problem, but they've got the solution. So probably at some point within the next few years, maybe sooner, maybe longer, they're going to come out and say, all of this pain can be solved if you take our CBDC. You get $2,000 a month, $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month. Just download our app, and you get your money. You can spend it anywhere that also downloads the app. And by the way, if you want to run a business legally in this country, you'll have to download this app. And so you'll be able to go spend your money that they give you with their restrictions. You go over your allotment for gas for the month, you can't spend your money at a gas station anymore. They want to stop a bubble in the stock market. Oh, for the next month, nobody can put new money into the stock market. Anything they want to control, they can, because they control 100% that money supply. So what I am advocating for is that's coming somewhere around the world, maybe lots of places around the world. No matter what, don't accept, because it's a handout that comes with a handcuff. And if you take that option, you'll never be able to get any of that wealth outside the system. So the solution is, before that happens, get as much wealth outside the system as you can. You got to buy silver, physically, hold it yourself. You got to buy gold, physically, hold it yourself. You've got to buy some of it stored in other countries around the world, so that if need be, you always have something waiting for you on the other side if you have to run away, if it ever comes to that. You've got to put some money into cryptocurrencies, into Bitcoin, into some of these other things, because we don't know what the winner will be 40, 50, 100 years from now. It could be something like that. So we want to get as much wealth outside the system right now, so that if push comes to shove, you're already there, you've got your lifeboat set up. And the worst case scenario is everything turns out great and you can still sell your gold and silver later on whenever you want to. And so that's what I'm pushing for as a solution.
Yeah, so we have life insurance, we have health insurance, we have all kinds of insurance, but no one ever thought to have wealth insurance.
Right, money insurance,
Money
yeah.
insurance, and I think what you described there. So give a little guidance here. Obviously, to each their own. But how does Joseph Brown see things going as far as how do you allocate? Are you a bullion guy? Of course you are. What percentages? All that. I know I've heard a lot of chats, and honestly, a big critique is no one really says what they're thinking.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
A third in real estate, a third in business, and a third in savings, in reserves, real savings, gold, silver, Bitcoin. And so your land, your real estate, you can have anywhere. You can have any type of real estate that you can control, REITs, whatever you want, because there's only so much land. They're not making more of it. Business, because businesses make profits over time, and if countries get too tyrannical, they move and they shift and they make money over time. And then the last third in savings and reserves, because it gives you dry powder to buy things when they're on sale, when everything collapses, and you don't want to be the one that gets caught swimming naked. And so I say gold, I say silver, I say Bitcoin, and of those metal allocations, you want some overseas. I'm a huge advocate of that. Yes, if it's not in your hands, it can be taken from you. There's counterparty risk. But if it is in your hands, it can be taken from you. There's still risk. Somebody can knock on your door. They can come in, they can take it from you. And so you want something just in case. Let's say it gets outlawed here. You want something you can access somewhere else. But not all of it. You want some of it yourself, because what if you can't access that anymore? So spread that out, spread that metal out. Have some of it, especially the smallest denominations like silver. You want some of that physically just in case you need to use it, kind of like cash. And then you want the majority of it somewhere where you're eliminating as much risk as possible. Miners, those go in the business section of a portfolio. Those are stocks. Those are not to be treated as money or as savings or as gold or as silver. Those are businesses. Treat them as such, research them, make sure they're good businesses, and they're primed to do very well, I believe, into the future.
How do people follow you?
Heresy Financial. Heresy is the word for an opinion that is profoundly at odds with what is generally accepted. Galileo was a heretic. He thought the world went around the sun, not the other way around, but the truth was shown in the end and he was proved right. And so I talk about finances, economics, money, investing, and I'm considered a heretic to the financial mainstream. I'm on YouTube and Twitter. Those are the main places to find me. Heresy Financial.
Joseph Brown, thanks for making the trip.
Thanks for having me.